All right, the next little video we're going to talk about here in 11.6 is what we're going to talk about mutually exclusive events, and we're going to talk about probabilities that include the word or. So let's first talk about what a mutually exclusive event is. If it is impossible for event A and event B to occur simultaneously at the same time, then we say that these events are what we call mutually exclusive. If it's impossible to happen at the same time, we call them mutually exclusive events. Now, if A and B are mutually exclusive, they can't happen at the same time. We can find the probability of A or B happening by finding the probability of A, finding the probability of B, and then adding them together. So really, anytime I see that word or, it really means I'm going to add the probabilities together. So or means add. Do you remember when we talked about and? We want pants and shirts. We want to pick male and female bears. Do you remember what we did when we saw that word and? Yeah, didn't we multiply? But now, when we see the word or, we're really going to add. Let me show you an example. Example number 3 says, if one card is randomly selected from a deck of cards, what is the probability of selecting a king or a queen? So I see a few different keywords here. The first one, probability. Remember, probability is what you want out of the total. And we want to figure out the probability of getting a king or a queen. So another keyword is or. And so now I know, as soon as I see that word or, I'm going to add the two probabilities together. So let's first figure out the probability of getting a king, then figure out the probability of getting a queen, and then add them together. All right, so what's the probability of getting a king? We want a king out of the total. So how many kings are there? Out of the total number of cards, you should get 4 out of 52. Now let's figure out the probability of getting a queen. How many queens are there out of the total? Again, 4 out of 52. So the probability of getting a king or a queen would be adding them together, 8 out of 52, or a reduced fraction of 2 out of 13. The probability of me selecting a king or a queen would be 2 out of 13. But I'd like you to make sure that you show me all of this work on your test so I know exactly how you're getting all of your little pieces. All right, look at B with me. If you roll a single 6-sided die, what is the probability of either getting a 4 or a 5? So again, probability is what I want out of total. And then I see that word or, so the probability of getting a 4 or a 5. So I'm going to add them together. Let's figure out the probability of getting a 4. Let's figure out the probability of getting a 5 and add them together for the probability of getting a 4 or a 5. If I roll a 6-sided die, what's the probability of landing on a 4? Well, isn't that 1 out of 6? And what's the probability of landing on a 5? Also 1 out of 6, right? So the probability of landing on a 4 or a 5 would mean I would add them together for a total of 2 out of 6. Or my probability is 1/3, 1 out of 3. So again, as soon as you see that word or means you're going to add the two probabilities together.